Here is the video update for the Kansas City Southern, Iowa Eastern Division for December 5th, 2025. So let's get this show on the tracks. We have our video update for you. It's been a few weeks, I think a couple weeks, 2-3 weeks since we have done, or I have done a video update for the Kansas City Southern, Iowa Eastern Division. While there has been improvements, updates, what have you, they're not super big from the last video we did, which was basically a tour of the layout, how it kind of operates with having two separate yards, being a point-to-point with the option for continuous run on both levels. You know, the video update, I got a good response from it. So thank you to those that have reached out and commented and all that good stuff. I really appreciate that. So this video, I figured I would show you some of the updates that have happened since then and kind of show you what's on my workbench, what I've been working on, kind of thing. And so let's move forward. A few videos ago, I had mentioned my video cameras that I've got put up, and actually I have two more that I received or got in. I want them, one facing kind of back here behind me, and one over actually facing down on Ogundape grain, because currently I got one up on each end for Egremont yard, and I got one right above on either end of my Montana yard. First, and I've explained this before, but if this is your first video, we'll kind of go through it. I want to be able to eventually down the road be able to, when I'm having operating sessions, be able to record the operating sessions, and not so much the operators, but the trains themselves. Trying to get good perspective views. Like I'm looking at one of my cameras right now. I'm always kind of looking like, okay, can I get a better angle, that kind of thing, without the cameras being, in a sense, in your face and intrusive. And for me, it's not so much of a big deal, but I'm trying to think about my operators when they're here, just to make sure, I want them to feel comfortable, that kind of thing. For starters, the cameras that I use, I have a lot of options with them. I can set them up to where they can continuously record or just events. You can have them record audio, that kind of thing. The way mine are set up is I have them to where they're event recording. However, I don't have it on, if that makes sense. So every time I come into the layout room and work and stuff like that, it's not picking it up and recording. I have to go in on the individual cameras and, okay, I'm going to be, let's say as an example, if I'm going to be doing some switching up here in Montana yard to run a local for myself, I can go into those two cameras. I can select, basically auto, it'll automatically start recording when it starts sensing movement and stuff like that. And then I can take that video and download it, and I have video for it. These are supposed to be, and I'll show you the cameras here in a little bit. I know they're supposed to be, they say high def, but they really don't tell you what the definition is. I'm thinking they're probably a 720p to a 1080p. They're definitely not a 4K, I can tell you that. My cameras, I did finally get in some 16 gig cards. I found some inexpensive ones off Amazon, like a 10 pack. And because I've got 2, 4, I got 6, including these I need to install. I got 6 cameras more that I want to install that I want to be able to record from. And but I do have 3 others for my incline, so I can pull them up. And I have actually tablets set up that eventually I'm going to I 3D printed some tablet holders, so that way I can pull them out, charge them, and stuff like that, instead of having cords everywhere. But I have those mounted on my valance, so if an operator's taking one from lower level or down or upper or lower level to the upper level kind of thing, they can in a sense follow their train as it goes up. I'm actually thinking about adding one more camera back there, but I've got to do some testing first. So but anyways, let's move on. So if you remember from the last video, I said back here I'm putting in a small fuel distributor kind of thing. Well, as you can see, I got the track put in there, and I got my switches put in, and it's tied into the siding over here. In fact, you can see right back here, I've got my tortoise switch machines that I got to get put in. I've got to wait until basically my back's better. I went to the doctor yesterday, and every day's an improvement. Let's just put it that way. But I got to wait until I can actually, I can take these off, and I got to get under and move some stuff under the lower level and get those installed. So I kind of got to wait because I got to pull some of this stuff off the front. And I got to kind of do one of those, move the trains and reach under there, mark, and then drill and put screws in and all that good stuff. So if you've never done a tortoise switch machine, there's plenty of videos on YouTube here that will show you how to do them. If you have easy access like I do on my upper level, and in reality, my lower level, I have easy access too. It's just underneath the layout here, there's a lot more stuff under here because that's where storage is. Under here, it's where trains are. So I can simply move my trains and get to it a lot easier. So, but yeah, that's an update that I got done since the last video. I got my track and stuff in. I do need to go back. Everything's soldered that I do solder. I do need to go in and fill in, take railroad ties and fill in where gaps and stuff like that are. So there's still that little bit to do, but yeah, so it's coming along for that industry. Okay, so the next thing I did was, if we go over here, you can see there's this turnout. I have not taken these turnouts yet, this crossover out yet, but I had a turnout that came in here, and then right here, this track came into a turnout, and then it immediately went into another turnout and went into down into the inbound outbound track for my Egremont yard. After the operating session and stuff that I had back in July and running trains and stuff, I found it unnecessary to have this holding track that I was calling it, and more necessary to have a longer track going in and out of the yard for my longer trains, especially my transfer ones that go up and stuff like that. Plus it gives the yard crew more room as far as switching cars. If they're doing, say, the local or a couple of the locals, it gives them more room to push cars up and get them organized for the local trains coming in and out. Pretty much the track work is done as far as laying track. I actually had just enough flex track to finish up all that I did, and I actually had to use some spare scratch pieces, stuff like that. The next thing I've been working on is background buildings for up here in this area where I'm starting to get some of the scenery done. And let's move here a little bit. As you can see, I've got some scenery ground stuff here down. I have more scenery to do, obviously a lot more, but I started, this is a 3D background building. That one's actually going to stick out a little bit. I am using pictures and stuff. You may see, let's move you a little bit closer here. Yes, there is a factory picture back here, and you can see them through here. Once the windows get in, you're not going to see it. But because of the roof, I couldn't butt this one up against it, and I decided I really didn't want that. because I wanted a little bit of gap in between the buildings. So I actually had a whole bunch of Walther's, they're like building kits, these modular kits that I got from my good friend Scott over at Scott's Trains. And this isn't an advertisement for him, but he came across a whole bunch of these. And basically I just bought the walls that basically come with the walls and the windows and stuff like that in them. And I bought several different kits, multiples of them. And that's actually what this kit is right here. This kit here, if you're wondering, is 5 or 6 of these kits put together. I did have to, so obviously you can see it's still needing some work to it. Let's move this out of the way so you can see a little better. I need to fill in between the bricks here and stuff like that and paint it, and same with the windows. But that is going to be an actual flat. It's not going to be a background building like this one is, where it sticks out a little bit. For a couple reasons. A, I don't really have that extra space there, but B, I wanted some depth between buildings and pictures and stuff just to add a little more 3D. But there's a lot of question on how you keep a structure like that up against the your backdrop, whether you're using like a paper backdrop like mine or it's painted. Do you really want to use sticky stuff or glue kind of thing, to where if you ever decide to pull it off or you need to work on it, like in my case, then you're tearing the you're messing up the backdrop, right? Well, what I did was I'm using magnets, and I had these from when I was doing vinyl graphics. Basically, the magnets I'm using are for like you see on cars, business signs that are they're magnets for cars. I still have material from that, and all I basically did was I cut. They're 5 blocks. They're little squares, and they're not very thick. They're maybe a 1/16 of an inch thick. And then what I did was on the back of my structure here, in between where it doesn't obstruct when I go to put the windows and stuff in. I basically glued these to the back there. I used double-sided tape up there. And once the windows are in, right now you can see them. Basically you line up your magnets, put them up there, and just make sure everything's sitting down like it's supposed to. Once the windows are in and painted and stuff, you're not going to even see those. So that is something that I've done here recently. And buildings like this, where they've got a little bit of depth to them, you really don't need it because they're not going to fall. But those, I didn't want to have to say put that up there and decide down the road, okay, hey, I don't like this. While yes, the magnets are up there, and if I go to pull them off, I'm probably gonna have to replace that section of backdrop. But on the flip side, it's not every time I need to pull that building down, I'm going to be ruining something. I have the ability to pull it down without ruining every time. So that's something that I have recently done as well. Something else I've done is I've had this billboard that I got from Jono's Junction. So if you're ever interested, he prints or makes those. They're high quality, excellent items that he does. I had to modify it a little bit for it to fit how I wanted it, but I got that put in. And of course, I gotta give a shout out to my good friend Scott over at Scott's Trains. His business card he's on the billboard because actually I have a Walther's hobby. It's actually a hobby shop kit that I'm doing Scott's Trains just because, well, he's a great guy, and he sells kits, which is I'm excited about. So clearly I gotta finish up the scenery there. If you look behind here a little bit, you can kind of see scenery's kind of started, but I've got that done. And actually I got Jono's Junction actually has a cell phone tower. The cell phone tower they have, that Jono's Junction has, comes with the building. It's basically the cell phone tower building, and this is how it comes, already painted and all good. You don't have to put this together, nothing like that. You do have to put, I can say you do have to put the tower together, which is the base, and basically it's 2 pieces. It's this top part, and if you look, there's a seam right there. It's the base and then the cell phone tower. I took it upon myself and modified it a little bit, and I don't have it hooked up yet, but some point here soon I will. I put a base on there, made it in a sense a concrete base for it. I did some research about cell phone towers about that high, and so I got to round off my base and stuff like that now. But I did some research on roughly about what they would be for a concrete base, and so I did that, and I ended up with some modification. I put a 3mm LED on the top. It's a red one. Obviously, see the wires. And then I have a flashing unit that will go underneath here, and I will put a switch in, probably a keyed switch, so it's not mistaken, like I have for my flashing, my crossing gates, my bell, and eventually I'm going to have storm clouds back here in the corner. And but yeah, I'll probably put a key switch in here, so when the 12-volt accessory that runs the signals and not this lighting, but any building structures that are lit, that will be lit, my Casey's, that kind of thing. It runs the tortoise switch machines as well. You don't necessarily, when I turn that on, you don't necessarily turn all the lights and stuff on, right? I do have that for my Casey's over there right now, but eventually I'm going to put a key switch in for that. And so that way I don't have all those lights turning on all the time, because even with LEDs, let's face it, LEDs have a lifespan, and there's no point in burning that out or burning them more than they should if you're not necessarily using them as much as you use structures. But so yeah, that's something that I've recently worked on. I did show you, I think, in the last video, but the tower was actually down on the ground. Well, there you have it. I have it up at this point. Hopefully by the next video, I'll have my foam core board put in up here to have this ground raised up closer to not necessarily track level, but roadbed level anyways. And that's kind of the same back here too. I'm going to do the same thing and bring that up and probably put a little hill in here just for aesthetics, basically. So let's move on to the workbench, what I'm working on. Welcome to my workbench. I don't think I've ever really shown anybody this, because the last few times that I may have even come close to showing this. Sorry, trying to adjust my camera so you can see the most of it. This thing was a mess. I finally got around to organizing it some. I had these little 3-stack things. Actually, I got more of them. I've actually got 1, 2, 3, I don't know, total of 2, 4, 6, 7. I got a total of 8 of them. I don't know where the other one is. But I've got back here off camera, I've got bins like that, a little bit bigger, and I got the big ones and the base and stuff like that I keep. So basically, when I'm working on my workbench, I can turn here. And if you look, I don't know if you'd be able to see it, I've got a little roll cart, tool cart that I've had for a long time that I wasn't using in the garage, cleaned it up, brought it in, and that I keep my soldering iron, and it's in the drawer. I keep like my little organizer with my KD wheels and couplers and stuff like that in there. But I got my one for my coffee cup for my paintbrush, one for markers and pencils and stuff like that. And then I've got my tweezers and some of my like regular knives. And then I keep my, just various stuff. Couple things, as you may have seen, that it was rolling here a little bit ago. And when I seen it rolling in the camera, it kind of spooked me a little. This is one of the cars that I got from Scott as a kit. It's Walther's 30-foot tank car. It was brand new, still had the packaging on it. Yeah, this one's a little tiny one. I've got a whole bunch of, I can't even tell you how many, but I've got probably, if I had to guess, 12 to 15 tank cars of various sizes, all the way from there up to the big, what are they, 30-some thousand gallon, I think it is, tanks. I brought some of those in because I do have tank cars on the railroad. I would say I have more tank cars that are for like grain or what like aggregate, like up here, Gun to Bay grain and stuff like that. I don't have a lot. I've got a small handful of fuel ones. Okay. And the ones I got in, there's some that are LPG or liquefied natural gas, or I'm sorry, liquefied, it's propane gas or propane, regular fuel. And that distributor, whether it may be accurate, 100% accurate or not, I don't really care. It's my railroad. I basically am adding another industry for switching operations. So yeah, I'm taking the liberty of modeling license to model it how I see fit for my operations and stuff like that. So yeah, I've been working on that. I've actually been 3D printing a whole bunch of parts. These are billboards. These are smaller ones, not as big. And, they're not quite as detailed as that, but these are more designed for like the little wood ones that you would see along the roads and little places, not like the John O's Junction one where it's designed for, like highways and stuff like that. So I'm trying that out. I have a file that I found and I have to modify it. I wanted it with lights, but the way it prints, I can't get it to print how exactly I want. But so I'm just cutting the light things off. But that, if anybody's ever wondering 3D printing, that's how it looks when I pull it off. Like it's upside down, and then it's got you have to put supports on there, and I have to cut all them supports off. And some things take longer than others to do. These take a little bit to do just because of the it doesn't look like there's fine parts, but if the supports are grabbing and you go to just rip them off, you're going to start breaking stuff. Fortunately, I use what's called ABS-like resin. So if you see a lot of 3D printing resin anyways, they're very, for resin, it's very, once you cure them and stuff, they're very brittle. Like you barely move them, they'll break. But you can see I'm able to move it quite a bit. So I don't want to sit here and continually do that, obviously, but I like it for the fact that, like, if you have it sitting on your layout and somebody bumps it, obviously if you have it glued down, which a lot of people will do, but if you have it glued down, I mean, at least there's a little bit of flex to where if somebody bumps it, it's not going to break as easy. So I got in from John O's Junction because they sell ESU lock sound decoders. I'm a soundtracks person, but I do like ESU. They both have their ups and downs. But he has them for good pricing. So I ordered in a sound decoder for an EMD, and because I wanted to try that style of decoder, because the ones I've gotten from him, I did in my ES44s, which were 21 pin drop-in decoders. This one's a wired one. I want to try it, but I'm not sure. The original Locomotive, which right back there, I was going to pull the sound or the regular decoder out and put sound in it, so it matched this Locomotive here with sound. This one's got soundtracks. That's a Broadway, so it's already got it in there. But now I'm not sure. I have my SD60s up there, that Gray Ghost, that I thought, well, if I could get at least sound in one of those, I'll do that. Now that we've mentioned the SD60s, and I obviously have the shells on, but I'd like to at least get sound in one of these, just for the fact of what they're running, whether they're running like these running in pair with the other gray one or whatever. It's got at least one sound unit per train, if you will, is the best way to put it. Like I said, all my big powers, what I call it, it has sound in it. This is considered big power, but I don't have sound. And the thing is when I got those, I got them at the Lincoln Area Train Show back in January, February, I think it was, when I went to that. And I got two of them for a really good deal. At the time when I brought them home, I didn't have any 8-pin NMR 8-pin decoders for it. I had them on order, but I hadn't received them yet. And I have them now for some other locomotives. But ESU decoder that I got in is an 8-pin, supposed to be drop-in. I hardwired those in. So the thing that I'm basically going to do is I've got 3 SD60M Triclops locomotives. I'm basically, they're undecorated. I've got to paint them and all that good stuff. And I'm going to basically take one of those, the frame, or I'm going to take, basically pull the power side of it out of it, put the decoder in there, get it programmed up, and then basically just swap them. Yeah, probably someday down the road, I'm going to have to eventually just hardwire one in. I may even still do that with these. I'm not sure yet with one of these, but I really want to see how this particular style of ESU decoder works compared to the circuit board, like 21 pins, because that's all the experience I have with them. They're all different. I know the soundtracks, I think it's the TS2200. That's in the Locomotive that's actually behind the camera here on my SD40-2 snoot. It's a hardwire one and it works great, sounds great, and all that stuff. This Locomotive right here has a 21-pin drop-in soundtracks. It works great. The one thing about the ESU that and its lack of experience with them is they are a little more I don't know how you want to word it. They're a little more in depth on speed matching them. There's a few things that you got to turn off, and depending on how your locomotives are speed matched. So, or depending on how the locomotive that you're matching up to is set, there's certain things with an ESU decoder that you have to go in and turn off or change before you even start your speed match, and that's a whole nother ordeal. So we're not going to get into that right now. But I've done it on a couple of my other locomotives. Finally got it set up to where it's working like it should, as far as movement and stuff. And so I've got this other one. I know it's still ESU, and you think it'd be the same, and it should, in a sense, technically be the same. But let's face it, decoders, whether they're drop-in, like a 21-pin or a plug and play, what are they, 9-pin plug and play, or they're the 8-pin. So I don't have the experience yet. I will, but yeah. So that's on the docket for the next project. So to close this video out before we get too long, I have had requests for a few requests for showing how I do my heavy rust weathering and stuff like that. I am planning on doing a video for that. I'm right now still just brainstorming how I want to do the video, because basically my weathering is a culmination of different techniques that I have seen online, and taking those and mixing them together, what works for me. And then even farther yet with that is, okay, changing up, say, one particular technique. As a prime example, the rust here that I don't know how well, you probably can't see it that well, but where I seen that technique using oil paints, you get it all, set up, and then you take pastels and just lightly go over it. And they went over it with the brown, which gives it, if you see it in person, it looks like real rust. Like if you feel it, it feels like real rust. But I went a little farther on some of them and doing like the dark brown that matched. I did that, but then I lightly went over them with a little bit brighter colored rust, just to give it some depth and a little difference. And I did that on this locomotive. I did not do it on this locomotive. Yeah, no, I did not. And I really like the effects. So I am planning on doing a video on that soon. I just got to get through and figure out how I want to, I guess, record and all that good stuff. So watch for that. That is coming. Just I got to get it planned out and recorded. I hope you enjoyed the video. Like like I said, those that have reached out, commented on the last video, I really appreciate it. Um, I I want to do more videos while I'm off, but I also want to model. That's kind of why I'm not doing the audio podcast anymore, is because I enjoy modeling. And there are several times that I'm like, all right, I'm doing this. I want to video for you. And then it's like I get down, I get, both mind and I get going on something. And then I'm like, crap, I'm halfway through something and I should have videoed from the beginning, that kind of thing. So I'm going to try to get better with that. But on the flip side of it, I also don't want this to be I don't want to set myself up for failure and putting out videos on, say, a said scheduled basis. That's what kind of the other thing I did with the audio podcast is I had it as a weekly podcast and it just got overwhelming. So while I would love to have some sort of schedule for you on YouTube here, I haven't gotten to that point yet. It's kind of one of those things where, yeah, I can do it now because I'm off work for another, roughly a little over a month, probably, because I have to do at least 4 to 6 weeks because I have to do physical therapy starting in a couple weeks. But once I get back to my full-time job, that is going to take a lot of time and energy. Not only getting back into the groove because I've been off for so long, but my job is by the time I'm done with my day, I am wiped, and I usually come home, work on the layout for an hour and a half, 2 hours until the boss, she gets home, and then it's time, to relax the rest of the night. So yeah, I really appreciate everybody. I appreciate all the new subscribes and stuff like that. There, you can join if you are interested. I did the cheapest level that YouTube would allow to get like stars and priority comments. And I don't understand all that, but if you'd like to support me and the channel, you can join. There's a join button next to subscribe. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, make sure you do like and subscribe, please, if you like this video and any of my other content. And if you watched from the stuff from the beginning up till now, you'll notice things have gotten way better. Well, I've learned a few things along the way as far as editing and stuff. So, but thank you all for showing me your support as far as subscribing and your comments and stuff like that. I really appreciate it. Please like and share. And like we always say, until the next time, keep your train on the tracks.